Thank you once again, Western Rise, and now let's go and dive on into the video itself. So, first and foremost, PlayStation Plus has actually had some pretty bad news floating around where it does seem like they're dropping quite a few different users. Now, no one ever wants to go and admit this when it comes to their company, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or whatever it may go and be, but sadly, it does kind of seem like PlayStation's had a little bit of a halter. Now, a lot of people keep on seeing like PlayStation's at like huge stampede. That's kind of like, the forward mover, they're trying their best to move the market, like they're basically like PlayStation 5 is going to sell out no matter what, but at the end of the day, it does kind of seem like there actually is a little bit of a issue going on with PlayStation. Now, they are trying to go push and say they're going to come and bounce back. We're going to go over throughout this video, but at the end of the day, this is somewhat concerning to see because also PlayStation Plus hasn't really been that good of a service so far. So let's go talk about this and all the things in between. So PlayStation Plus has lost nearly 2 million subscribers since its revamp. Now, as you guys know, PlayStation Plus got like a tiered system and they changed up the format. It's kind of pretty much similar, but at the end of the day, not really. So basically, Sony's network revenue, though, thankfully is up. The CFO says it expects to recover subscribers as of this next quarter. Now, I'm going to probably say just on the really high level, yes, probably will, because we're going to have the holidays, people are going to be playing the games, God of War, Call of Duty is going to probably get a lot of people back on PlayStation Plus, but it still is really concerning seeing negative numbers no matter what. So PlayStation Plus subscribers have dropped by nearly 2 million users since the revamped service launch in June. So that's according to Sony's latest subscriber estimates, which were published on Tuesday as part of its 2020 Q2 financial results. And we're probably going to go cover up a few different topics and kind of discuss a little bit more on the channel. So obviously make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on and for the giveaway for that. It's the very first full quarter since it actually launched the revamped PS Plus. So, as of right now, it's actually not doing too good. We're going to probably see some kind of fluctuation, mainly because, with the pandemic ending, people going back to school, people going to the holidays, or whatever it may be, but it is a little bit concerning both for the Game Pass going down and PlayStation Plus as well going down. So despite the revamped PS Plus subs climb now for the third quarter in a row, the total number of subscribers stood around 45.4 million for the 3 months ended September 30th, 2022, down from 47.3 million in the previous quarter. PlayStation Network monthly active users, or MAUs, were also down during the 3-month period at 102 million, which was a decline from 104 million a year earlier and 103 from the previous quarter. This appears to be Sony's lowest MAUs figure since it began reporting this data in early 2022. However, despite the decline in subscribers, Sony's overall network service of revenue, which encompasses PS Plus and advertising, but not game purchases or add-on content, actually didn't go and increase. So we have some pretty big negative news. Now I'm going to kind of harp a little bit more on the negative side, just because I feel like subscriber-based stuff, such as like, Netflix or Game Pass or even PS Plus, as we're talking about, this is a big deal. It's kind of like shows active player bases, active multiplayer users. Like, it's a little bit more important than overall revenue because you don't want to milk more revenue from smaller people. You want to be building and growing long term. So basically it does mean, though, that Sony is having their gaming divisions making more money per subscriber than it was before, potentially reflecting the uptake of a more expensive subscription tier as well. Now, I mean, it could maybe work out, but I do think people sometimes get, sick of the system. Higher tier systems are probably the first ones to go. Think Netflix, where a lot of people are like, yeah, we're just going to go to Netflix on the higher tier because we want to save money. So while it's maybe potentially nice for, a small term, long term, it may not be the play. At least in my opinion. So basically, PlayStation sales actually rose over here from DOMs playing from 12% to a Q2 record of $5.2 billion, which was favorable FX rate impact. Operating profit did, though, go in decline from 49% to around $305 million, lower third-party content, dev, and MAA cost effects. So basically just kind of seemed like a lot less third-party games. We were still seeing some first parties, but not as much in terms of other stuff to offset the stuff. They did actually go and maintain the revenue outlook, though it lowered their future forecast. So basically that means, as for investors, they kind of said yeah, we're going to make, let's say, $100 billion, just random numbers. And they actually did go and maintain that. But they're also saying, hey, the market's doing good, not doing too good, macroeconomics are doing a little bit rough. Maybe next quarter we might go a little bit lower, so just keep that in mind. So this is all based on the Q2 average FX rate. If you guys want to see some of this stuff, we can go a little bit more in depth. But basically, they did have a lot of sales, as you guys can kind of go and see from all of this, and we can see just a lot of different stuff. They had, had more sales moved on up, significant increase in the FX impacts too, but they also had a decrease in sales of non-first party titles, as we mentioned. So that's indie games, etc., or even things like Fortnite, Genshin Impact, etc. And they also did have a significant decrease too, as we showed you guys over here, They had an increase in cost for game software development, supply salaries going up, maybe in terms of licensing rates, maybe in terms of actual, like, in terms of, like, maybe, I don't know, Unreal Engine. And they're recording the expenses associated with acquisitions, too. This would also spend a lot of money with Bungie. You have to make sure people are getting treated well, sign-on bonuses, etc., etc. And there's also a big issue with the negative impact in foreign exchange rates, too, as well. So kind of a lot of negative stuff. It's kind of maintaining, for a lack of a better term, but there was a lot of, like, really just negative things tied on it. As well as we also did mention too, they did at least have a decrease in losses from hardware due to the higher price increase, which, as for consumers, still offered bad will, but it was maybe good for Sony. Now they did go and put their forecast in the future, so they want to have hopefully ideally a better impact of foreign exchange rates, increase in hardware sales due to the price revisions as well. So ideally, like, they rose the price, so they ideally should be making more money. But of all, they also might be decreasing in sales of non-first-party titles, including add-on content. So that's what they're forecasting, which isn't necessarily bad for first-party games, but third-party might be rough. As well, they also did have a little bit more of a 12% downward revision because of the impact of decrease in sales for the non-first-party titles, and then negative impact of foreign exchange rates too as well, based on the USD being so, like, kind of flip-floppy. And as well, at least they do have a plus of also making more money off of all of their consoles. So it does seem a little bit more on the sketchy side. Mainly because, as you guys can see, the product categories for PlayStation are either flat or up, which is good. Physical software also rose up to 32%, so it's probably good. Think Last of Us Remake, God of War, etc. Network services also did go and increase as well to 16%. So there is still good stuff, although it kind of still seems sketchy with PS Plus subscribers going down, and as well, like, no third-party titles basically making a lot of money, or even planned. And on top of that too, once games like God of War are out, we don't really have any big major other games, maybe besides Forspoken and Final Fantasy 16 on the horizon, which also may go lower down prices. Xbox is in the same boat where it's kind of going kind of rough and kind of bad, and they're not getting as much subscription revenue too as top of that. As we covered though before, at least some good notes is that even though the PS Plus is going down, they are spending more money. Once again though, I'd rather have a bigger pool and a lower average cost because you have more people, say, on PS Plus and more consistent revenue than a shrinking one with more spend going and tied on in. So Hiroki Totoki actually blamed this declining third-party game and PS4 sales just as more people going outside, which is kind of weird though because this is the prior quarters, but I'll be very curious to see if these numbers also reflect on the holiday season where people like me in Chicago are not going out as much as well. So they do think that games such as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and God of War will be bumping those numbers back up, and I would like to go and say I'd probably agree. Because both of those games are getting huge hype. We just saw information that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was one of the biggest sales out there for any type of game, and I think it's all around gonna probably be a pretty nice fourth quarter for Sony. Xbox will have to go and see because they have no major games lined up and announced besides Call of Duty themselves. So there's also been a declining number of members on PS Plus, as we kind of been touched on for this topic. However, in the second quarter, we renewed our service, and there hasn't been a great momentum as a whole. Very intriguing to see that there's just a big lack of momentum. They're even calling that. They also did go and state, though, that they didn't really make aggressive promotions or trying to get new signups or deals or whatever it may be, but I would still say that's still a very concerning effort because they're just not making as much money in terms of hardware. I mean, they're getting a higher revenue number, but just overall, and then same too with game sales on PS Plus. Like, these are like the main core fundamentals of the PlayStation itself. So as you guys can kind of do a quick look through over here, because this video is definitely more focused on the PlayStation side. PlayStation Plus numbers had a nice little increase for a little bit, and then a little bit more consistent decreases. But this is also a bigger drop than we also saw. Like a 47.4 to 47.3, that's not as bad, but a 47.3 to 45.4, I don't know about that one, plus with monthly users going down. Although monthly users have been pretty consistent and flip-flopping all around. So they are saying, therefore, in the future, we're going to have a more penetration on the PS5, and we're going to have very good titles. So they kind of just think that at the end of the day, if we keep on getting good games like God of War and all these other various games, it won't be too much of a big issue. And, well, fingers crossed, it won't be. So kind of give me your thoughts and comments. We're going to do a little bit more of some other deep dives as well from all these big shareholder meetings and all that type of talk. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on it all down below. And as well, if any of you guys do want to keep on checking out the Evolution Pants down below, thank you so much once again, Western Rise, for sponsoring this video. The Evolution Pants 2.0 are going to be linked down below. Remember to use the code HOLIDAY30 for your 30% off and get any size, color you want. They're very good. I have a pair myself. And thank you once again, Western Rise, for sponsoring this video and all of you guys for watching in the first place. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe. We'll see you guys up on later on today for more videos.